My name's Tom Snell. I'm a research officer at PSSRU at the LSE, and I joined here in 2006. Well, since I joined, the unit's got a lot larger and taken on a far broader range of products. I think it's also changed in the way that our research is disseminated. Obviously, social media is a big part of people's lives now, and we're embracing that and using that as a way to get research out to a broader public rather than just academics and policymakers. And that's increasingly becoming a way to get your work into a broad arena immediately and get feedback. So. I'd say generally the events where we come together as a group, so conferences and away days, we're a close unit, but obviously we're quite big and people often work in small groups, so it's good just to see everybody as a unit and to catch up with people, and also just to share what research you're working on and to help each other out in terms of research as well. A lot of my research recently has been looking at targeting of social care services. So I've been looking historically at how patterns of provision have changed, how different local authorities vary in terms of applying eligibility criteria, and also looking at prospective changes in terms of future policy and changes to funding. I've also done research looking at child mental health, community capacity building, age discrimination in mental health services, and aids and adaptations. It's always satisfying when you see the impact that your work has. So I'd say when bits of research are picked up in mainstream media or published in peer-reviewed journals. A couple of years ago, I also had the opportunity to present some research findings at a parliamentary breakfast to MPs and Lords, and so that was a big highlight as well. A lot of our work's been commissioned by the Department of Health, so we've fed into a lot of white and green papers. In recent years since I've been here, two that come to mind, two bits of work are work on for the Dilmot Commission and work on the Care Act for next year. To a large extent, I think the nature of social care research has evolved to reflect the ambitions and priorities of the times. So whereas a few years ago, I think research was focused more on the immediate needs of people, now we're looking at a far broader range of outcomes in terms of well-being and quality of life. So I think that's changed the shape of social care research a lot. Social care funded by the state has been increasingly focused on people with very high levels of need, and particularly with the financial constraints that local authorities are facing, there are fewer funds available for people with lower levels of need. And in terms of getting best value for money, I think there's a need to look at more alternative forms of care, such as community capacity, or aids and adaptations that can be fairly low cost to implement, but may have wider reaching consequences in terms of the need for NHS and social care further down the line. It'd be very useful for us to have more information on the private care market. We've got currently quite good data on social care provided by the state, but we know less about unmet need. So it'd be very useful in terms of particularly working out what the implications are of future changes to social care funding, how those needs are being met outside of the state system. Over the past couple of decades, we've seen a big reduction in the number of people receiving care from local authorities, with resources being more heavily concentrated on those with the greater levels of need. At the same time, the level of dependency in the population overall is rising, so obviously there's a struggle for local authorities to maintain the level of provision currently provided. Also, there's been lesser emphasis on lower level forms of care, so it may well be that as a consequence there are increases in the need for different care services in the future. I'll give that a cautious 6.